The border thing's a big old mess. Supreme Court, the federal government fighting with Texas putting up more razor wire, this border patrol this and this border patrol that, and it's really, really bad. Federal government has opened up the southern border. They have done this on purpose. Remember, they didn't screw it up. It's a central part of the communist plan to collapse America, flood the country with illegals. This is the Cloward-Piven strategy. It's been around since the 60s. They're just perfecting it now. All right, so they need the border open. Texas needs the border closed. We cannot withstand this without end. All right, so there's a big fight. And now that there's a conflict, kind of an argument between the federal government and one of the states, a lot of people are talking about civil war this and civil war that. Is there going to be a civil war?
What is this going to turn into, a civil war? I mean, you've got the Texas rights versus federal rights, both sides with guns.
And we believe constitutionally we are right. We have a right to defend our citizens. We have a right to defend this country.
All right. Civil war. I hear that a lot. Civil war. Is there going to be a civil war? Okay. Before we start talking about anything as horrible, unspeakably horrible as a civil war, I feel like we need to dig into something. I feel like we need to dig into the traitors on our own side, because we need to get them out. So how do these people get into office? I mean, James Lankford is out there right now trying to negotiate a bill that would allow millions more illegals in before anybody even deports anybody. Again, Senator Naked Ken Doll, you can put it up again, producer. This is a picture of James Lankford. A lot of people don't realize this is actually what he looks like. But you see, that's Senator Lankford right there. And he's negotiating with Democrats as we speak to amnesty a bunch of illegals and to prevent the United States of America from deporting people until 1.8 million more come in. So it's crazy, right? It's crazy. And he's out there, trying to make up excuses. Oh, it's just because it's an election year why people don't like it.
It is interesting. Republicans 4 months ago would not give funding for Ukraine, for Israel, and for our southern border because we demanded changes in policy. So we actually locked arms together and said, we're not going to give you money for this. We want a change in law. And now it's interesting, a few months later, when we're finally getting to the end, they're like, oh, just kidding. I actually don't want a change in law because it's a presidential election year.
Yeah. So how did we end up with a senator like this? There has to be a story behind this, right? And the other senators with him, I mean, the Mitch McConnells and the John Cornyn's and the Mitt Romneys. How are these guys betraying us all the time? There have to be some evil powers behind them. Well, we here on I'm Right, we did some digging into this. We wanted to know, how are these people in power? How did we end up on our side with these people who are knifing us in the back? So look, you remember James Lankford back when St. George Floyd died? You remember when he went to the television set and he started talking about how we needed to give in to the communist demands and start changing the name of military bases? You remember this?
We are also seeing now efforts to rename military bases across the country. The Senate Armed Services Committee voted on that. This week, we've seen leading voices like General David Petraeus saying it's time to stop having military bases named after Confederate generals like Braxton Bragg. Is it time?
I do, actually. I think the right way to be able to do this is to be able to have the study, to be able to look at where the name come from, what do we need to have to be able to take a serious look at it, and then to be able to transition. There are lots of great leaders, military leaders that are around the country that are modern leaders that we can continue to be able to honor.
Yeah, now they're removing statues of Thomas Jefferson because Senator Naked Ken Doll decided to throw blood in the water for the sharks. It was never about the Confederacy or anything like that. It was just about destroying America's history. So how does this guy stay in office? Well, like I said, we did some digging into it and we found why. And it's ugly. You ready for this? After that, after he went on television and did all that, he actually had a primary in the, let me check my numbers again. Yeah, very red state of Oklahoma. He had a primary. And in red Oklahoma, James Lankford got 64% of the primary vote. Wasn't even close. The GOP primary voter in red Oklahoma. He's not in Maine. He's not in New Hampshire. In red Oklahoma, the GOP primary voter ran to the polls to vote Senator Naked Kendall back into office. Oh, don't think it's just you, Oklahoma. Who is the power behind these men? Why can't we get them out of office? I live in red Texas. They always say that, right? Red Texas. In fact, I see all these Texans out there and they're, come and take it. We've had enough. We're standing up to you. And then John Cornyn's doing Texans wrong. But how is John Cornyn still in office from red Texas? I'm glad you asked. His last primary, I have the results right here. He got 76% of the GOP primary voters vote in red Texas. Come and take it. What's that? There's a primary election? Go, John! You see, I can keep going. Should I keep going? I think I will. Mitch McConnell, because this is all Mitch McConnell's idea. He's the one who told Senator Naked Kendall, go get a border deal going, arrange a border deal. We need to do this amnesty plan. We got to do it before Trump's in office. And you're mad about that, right? I'm mad about that. Gosh, Mitch McConnell sucks. How horrible is that? Oh, well, I found why he's in office. He had a primary too. Just recently, he had a primary too. Let's see. This is 2020. 82% of the primary vote. You want me to keep going? I can. I'll stop. But I could talk about Mitt Romney's primary results in Utah. Tom Tillis, John Thune, our most despicable GOP senators come from the reddest states in the United States of America, and they come from those red states because GOP primary voters are lazy and stupid. And I'm sick to death of it. I'm sick to death of the GOP primary voter running to the polls, voting for what's failed time and time again, and then waking up one day and looking at the news and seeing there's an amnesty bill and looking around saying, what? How did this happen? How did it happen? You sat on your butt on primary day. That's how it happened. Or even worse, you ran out to the guy. Oh, I see James Lankford on the news. Hey, he's awesome, right? Herb Lankford again. We'll vote for the R. And we look around and wonder, who did this to us? Grab a mirror. That's who did this to us. Look, I saw, everyone's mad about the Ilhan Omar comments this weekend. Let's talk about this real quick.
jawaabteedu waxay ahayd dawladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dawladda Mareykanka qabo waa kalsoonidaas inaan isku qabno annaga Soomaali hadii aan nahay wadankan annaga ku nool.
Oh my gosh, how could we have somebody in there who's loyal to another country? Well, GOP primary voter has this in common with the people who elected her. They all get exactly what they deserve. I'm tired of the complaining. I'm tired of blaming these useless senators on our side. We deserve representatives like Ilhan Omar. We do. She's an accurate reflection of who we are. We deserve senators like Senator Naked Kendall. We deserve them. We are blessed to live in a country where if we care enough, we can get off our butts and go do something, and we don't. Time and time again, we don't. And then we look around one day, maybe Trump can save us. Nothing, nobody can save a people who don't care enough to save themselves. Maybe that made you uncomfortable too, but I am right.